Good evening, everybody. Um, Today we'll be looking at infrastructure as a code. Infrastructure as a code. Uh, Let me start with the definition of infrastructure as a code. I believe you guys can see my screen well. So we have what we call resources in Azure. This is Azure. Looking at it from the portal. In the background of this portal, you have what we call uh, resources. Like looking at it merely, you can say these are Azure resources, right? But nevertheless, when you want to create resources in Azure, you have to follow this physical process that we did in our normal classes. From the portal, you just click on, for instance, create a resource and follow the other prompts that come with it. Like if you are creating a virtual machine, for instance, you can say, okay, virtual machine, I want to create this virtual machine. After that, I follow the next process, which is to provide the virtual machine name, provide the other details that are required to create a virtual machine, right? So those are normal processes that you have to follow when you need to create stuff in Azure. Now, today we'll be talking about infrastructure as a code. So meaning that I can use code to create my infrastructure in Azure without me literally following through the portal. That is what infrastructure as a code literally does for you. So let me try to um, give a sample of it. I don't know why this is not coming up, but nevertheless, in infrastructure as a code, it just tells you that you can create resources in Azure without literally coming to the portal to create the resources. You can create resources, manage resources from the portal. So we will talk about other processes, like when you are talking about Azure CLI, talking about using PowerShell to manage stuff in Azure and so on and so forth. But nevertheless, let's first look at creating infrastructure as, or we call it resources on the cloud using code, using Azure code, using codes. So now we have different uh, providers for creating Azure, creating resources in the cloud. One of it is using in Azure Azure mainly, you can use ARM templates. You can use ARM templates to create resources in Azure. ARM. So look at it literally ARM. So you can use ARM templates to create resources in Azure. You can use Bicep. You can use Terraform. You can use other declarative processes also to create resources in Azure. One of it, again, I want you to look at again is that what is the benefit of me using code to create my resources in Azure? Note, what are the benefits of me using code to create my resources in Azure? Let me give you a sample of a good example of it. One is repeatability. Repeatability means that that code can be used over and over again. You understand? You just write one code, but that one code does every other thing. You can carry that same code next week, use that same code again to create another resources, and you can use that same code to say, okay, I want to create it in this particular time. Next week, I'm creating this exact type of resources using that same code. So that is what repeatability means. The next thing again is version control. Version control, I think last year we talked about Git, and one of the things we talked about in Git is version control. Means that I can make updates. I know the last update I made. I know the present update I'm making. I can create in different branch. Looking at our Git processes, version control. That means I can know which version am I using presently to create my resources. And if I have another updated version, I can be able to see it, detect it, approve it, and so on and so forth. The last thing, again, we want to talk about the benefits of infrastructure as a code is consistency. Consistency means that I want to create a particular, I want to create some series of virtual machines, for instance, in Azure Portal, in Azure Cloud, I mean. and I want all of them to have a particular kind of configuration. I need them to have a particular kind of configuration. For me to have that level of consistency, it's best I use infrastructure as a code. Please, do you understand that concept? For you to have consistency in creating resources, like now I want to create 7 app services. I want all of them to be connected to a particular app service plan. I want all of them to be connected to a particular virtual network for their outbound, and so on and so forth. I want our processes to be similar or same. If I need that kind of consistency, definitely humanly doing it using the Azure portal, you may literally have issues doing that. But when you are using infrastructure as a code processes to create those resources, there is no likelihood of you having inconsistency in it. You definitely have consistency in creating all those resources. So that's the third benefit. The first benefit, we talk about the repeatability. The next thing we talk about is version control. Remember Git, version control. And the last one we talk about is consistency. Now, let's now look at imperative and declarative. Please note, imperative and declarative. So when you have codes like ARM templates, bicep, you are definitely using what is called declarative. So let me just open my VS Code. When you are using ARM templates, you understand? ARM templates, biceps, they use declarative mode, meaning that when you want to create a resource, you are declaring or stating the resources. So for instance, you have the parameters. So for instance, when you want to create a resource group, I'm just giving that this is the example we are going to do now. When you want to create a resource group, you are going to have something like content version is equals to this parameters. Resource group is equals to this. The type of resource group is equals to this. Location is equals to this. So you see the parameters are kind of much. And if you compare it to Terraform at the other side, Terraform is just like kind of straightforward and it's easier to use. But I will just teach you firstly on how to use ARM templates. Let's firstly start with that. Now, can you remember when we were talking about this thing? We were talking about subscriptions, resource group. Starting from the tenant management group, subscription, and resource group. We said that all of them are inside each other. Like the management group is inside the tenant, the subscription is inside the management group, the resource group is inside the subscription, and the resources are inside your resource group. Please, can we remember when I was arranging that and I showed everyone the architecture process around it? So today we are going to have a good understanding of it. So I will drop some things on the chat for you to really understand. So let me drop this on the WhatsApp chat. Just let me copy this so you can understand it. I will drop it on the screen also. So I've dropped on the chat. Let me just a new file. Let's call this so we can drop the information about this here. So people that will be watching the video can come back to see this. So firstly, note, you cannot deploy a resource group inside the ARM template while deploying a resource. Please, can we see this process? To create a resource group, you have to create a different ARM template to create a resource group. The next thing, ARM templates are usually deployed into a resource group. Note, to create a resource group, you must use subscription level deployment, meaning that your resource group will be inside your subscription level template. Your storage account and other resources will be inside your resource group level template. Please, do we get that concept? Now, so when you have a template that is a subscription template, that subscription template means that it's only resource groups that you can create inside it. I'm going to drop you a sample of a resource group, a subscription level template. Don't worry, I'll push this everything I'm doing here to the GitHub repo, and I'll drop the link for you guys. Fine. Let's see. Source group. Sorry. Source group. .json. Please note, ARM template is a JSON type of file. Okay. So this is a JSON file or a ARM template file to create resource group. Note that the resource group is inside the schema for subscription level deployment. Can you see it? Subscription deployment template. Inside the subscription, you have a resource group. Please, do you understand? Now, let me now explain how it works now for creating a resource group. I'm going to explain it line after line. Firstly, a ARM template has something called a schema. A schema means that the API endpoint it is speaking to, when you run it, I'm going to show you how to run it also. When you run it, it's going to run this, it will go to this particular API endpoint, call this particular endpoint, and pass in all these other parameters and create the resource or the resource group you want to create. So here, it gives you the content version of the file. Now the parameters, what am I creating? I'm creating a resource group. This is the resource group name. The type is string. Then many of you are familiar with coding parameters. You have a string, you have a boolean, you have integer, you have all those things. But please note, the name is going to be definitely a string value. Location will be a string. The type is declarative. Please note, it's declarative. That's why you are seeing you are declaring all these values. The type is what for the location is string. The default value I'm using, the default value for this location, I'm using East-US. So East-US means that the location of that resource or the resource group you want to create, which region should it be created in. So East-US, the resources, what am I creating? I am creating the type called Microsoft Resource Groups. So let me now show you guys this type and explain this type for you very well. So in Microsoft, you have Azure subscription. So you have something called this Microsoft and the resource types. So we have a lot of resource type. Let me show you. Let me look for a subscription. Let me walk you through. I'm coming. I'm coming. So I'm coming. I'm trying to look for something. The one I can use to buttress my point. Okay, is resource provider I'm actually looking for. So we have something called Microsoft Resource Provider. Resource provider means that for every resource in Azure, it has a resource provider. Do you understand? For instance, you have if you are looking for virtual machine. Virtual machine has a resource provider called Microsoft.compute. You understand? Compute is where virtual machine falls into. For app services also, they have their own resource provider. Storage accounts have their own resource provider. Storage, Microsoft Storage, you can see it. It has its own resource provider. So in the JSON file of the ARM template, it's asking for a resource provider. Resource provider means that this part like this is the resource provider. The type is Microsoft.resources. Under the resources, what kind of resources are you creating? I'm coming, let me show you. Resources under Microsoft.resources, you can come under it and look at it. It have different API versions. These API versions are these things I showed you up here. No, this API version. You can see it. This API version. Now, the name of the resource group I want to create, parameters.resource group name. The name of the resource group, I can say, okay, DevOps Bootcamp 2026. That's the name of the resource. And sorry, no, I think I made a mistake here. Yeah, I made a mistake here. How do you name the default value? I didn't put default value. Default value will now be DevOps Bootcamp 2026. The resource, the type, I've already told you the type. You can see the type of resources that you are creating under resource providers. The next thing again I talked about is the API version. API version is under, when you click on that resource, it will show you different API version. So you can see the API profiles, capabilities, location, and JSON. So let's generate a JSON file for you. Okay, this is just a JSON file for you. So you can see, I'm coming. So resource. Let's ignore this. I'll come back to this. So this is just a sample of a JSON file to create a resource group in ARM template. Sorry, it can be looking complex, but I'm going to portrait on it. I'll portrait on it when we are talking about, when I'm walking you through bicep codes. But please just understand this concept based on what I said here. Your resource group is going to be created in your subscription level template. Your resources, they will be under your resource group level template. So this one is just for creating of a resource group. This is just a sample schema to create a resource in this thing. So let me now show you a sample of our resource. And let me look for one resource group that's been deployed. So, okay, this is a resource group has been deployed. Let's view the template. Can you see it? This thing that is used to create a resource group. a template from Microsoft. If I want to create a resource group, this is the template I'm going to update. Understand? I work with to create a resource group. Now, for instance, I want us to create a resource group now. Looking at this template that is here, let me just update some little files out of it. So default value, let me put this one, type. Okay, this one's already. I want to parameters. Okay. Okay. Edit template. Okay. So we have a sample template to create um, a resource now, a resource group. Let me just drop for the location, resource group name, and the location. Let's use East. So good file. Sorry, no. Save. Good. Oh, test. Edit template. Okay. So this is just a template showing you how to use the templates to create resources in Azure. But one thing I want you guys to look at in this whole process is that ideally, ideally, you may not be using this for creating of majority of the resources, except you work you work in an organization whereby they use ARM templates. Most of the time, it's just for you to understand how ARM template is being used, not literally you using it. Like this one that we are just using for demo on test, is just for you to understand how to create resources in Azure for using ARM templates, infrastructure as code. So using ARM templates can kind of look complex in situation if you don't understand many of these things. One of the things, again, for instance, when you are creating a resource group, I want to show you something. Uh, Inputs. These templates. Yeah. So when you look at this, you will see something under the tags. You can see that the tags is using a type of object. Location is string. Resource group name definitely is going to be a string. Uh, those are sometimes I know not all of you are familiar with it. Like in some like now when you're having values of number of VMs or CPU, number of cores, for instance. Those ones you can be using integer. And when you are doing it for location, like something that involves numbers and words and letters together, you can use string for it. Objects means that when you're having parameters together, like an array, that's when you use objects. So ARM templates can kind of look like a complex, funny kind of thing. But let me show you another one sample. I know it can be boring, but please bear with us. It's just our topic for today. The next one I want to look at is for virtual machine. Virtual machine template. Virtual machine JSON. So we have this sample for virtual machine. Don't worry, guys. I know it's boring. It's boring. It's kind of boring. So for virtual machine, firstly, note. Okay, someone has a question. I know, please shoot.
Good afternoon, everyone. Good afternoon, guys. Can everyone hear
Yeah.
me?
Yes, I can.
Okay, so the question here is, are you saying that we can create this, we can use the template and create a resource group from our VS Code into our Azure portal?
Yes, sir. You can.
Okay, okay,
It's
okay.
kind of
That's my question.
it's kind of funny. But
Okay,
looking at ARM template can look complex. I'm just being sincere. I've done all the IAC available to me. I've done ARM templates, I've done Bicep, I have done Terraform. I can tell you that ARM templates of all of them, the one that looks kind of complex is ARM templates. But what I'm just trying to show you here is just understand it. Please, do you understand? Understand it. Because of it is the layer at which every other thing is built on. That's the funny thing. It's just that simple layer that every other thing is built on. ARM template. It can look like a JSON file. Even to deploy it, you have to use this Azure CLI command to deploy it. I will show you how we can use what do I call it? We can use GitHub Actions to deploy it next week. So next week we are going to create a pipeline. So that will be our assignment for next week. We are going to create a pipeline to do it. But today I just want us to understand what ARM template literally means. You understand? I'll push this code to my GitHub repo. I'll drop the link for you. So you can just look at it. Look at how an ARM template is. Get yourself familiar with it, how it's being used, and so on and so forth. So that's just the major thing about it for now. Just getting you guys familiar with it and accustomed to it. So nothing much around it. Okay, so let's go to this is a sample of ARM template for virtual machine. Let me even create the last one again for creating of app service and storage account. This is for, okay, this one, storage account. Storage account, not JSON. Let me drop this one for storage account. This is a sample for, this is one for storage account. Which one do I have again? Okay, let me just leave it at this one. So please, guys, let's now get our mind together on this particular one. When I was, we are talking about resource group. You guys know that I went to the subscription. Under subscription, I went to settings and I went to deployment. And the only thing you can see here is resource group, right? Please, that's how it's been arranged in Azure based on this our conversation I told you up here, that for resource group deployment, it will be done inside the subscription layer. For other resources, they will be done inside the resource group layer. Do you understand? Now, if you are deploying a virtual machine, for instance, now, a virtual machine is a resource, not a resource. A virtual machine is a resource. It will be deployed in the resource group layer. This is what I mean by resource group layer. Let me look for one of our resource groups here. Let's look at this. Now, see, we have resources under this resource group. When you click on settings and you go to deployment, you see that your resources are deployed under your resource group layer. Please just note that. Okay. So your resources are deployed in your resource group what layer. Please, do you understand? Now, sorry, please. Now, okay. So your resource group are deployed in what? Your resource group, your resources are deployed in your resource group layer, and your this thing, what do I call it? Your resource group are deployed in your subscription layer. Good. Let me go to now. I've explained that to that extent. So now we have different templates available to us here. We have templates for virtual machine, storage account, and resource group. So I want to just show you, because of our time, how you deploy these things in Azure. Once you have your template ready, just search for custom template. Deploy a custom template. Can you see it? Deploy a custom template. Sorry, it's still loading. Okay. Deploy a custom template. Do you understand? Template spec. You can follow the other parameters and so on and so forth. For instance, we already have the template available. So what we can just do is that we just build our own template. You understand? Now, our templates I want to deploy, I want to just use the templates to create a resource group. Now, this resource group template. Copy. Okay. Parameters to save. Can you see it? From that, it knows that I want to create a resource group in this subscription, and the other parameters are followed. Next, it reviews my template, validates my template, and after it creates the resource. So this is the resource I want to create. Look at it here. Subscription name, the region is US, source group name, and the location. You can look at it here from the ARM templates I have with me. Can you see it? So great. So now it has picked up my template. It's using my template to create a resource in Azure. This is just a sample of what we are doing today. Now, it's going to create a resource group under the subscription, but the resources are under the resource groups. Good. So it has created my resource. Go to my resource group. So this is my subscription. Under my subscription now, I go to resource groups. I can find yes, that's this thing created. This is the resource group. Go to the resource group. So you can see it created our resource group using that same template I used. So go to the code. You can see this is the schema, content version, the parameters, and so on and so forth. These are the values and so on and so forth for creating a resource group. Now I want to use the last one again. I want to use the one for storage account. I want to create a storage account. The resource group name, location, storage account name. Let me get. Oh, sorry, time is almost up. Okay, Elvis, please, you can ask your question while I'm getting the values for this.
All right, so I wanted to also know if you're creating. Okay, let's say we've created this resource group from with the code. I want to make a change after creating. Is it possible, or we have to create it again but change the version?
You are sorry for ARM template. You have to create it again, sir. I'm
Okay, then
sorry.
change the version.
Yes,
Okay, all right, sir.
you have to create it again. Okay. So this is another ARM template again for creating of what do I call it? Storage account. You understand? So just copy this. I want to create a storage account. I'm going to my custom, under my deployment. You see, there's no deployment. Just note, no deployment is done here presently. Let me see if I can let's just go to custom template, deploy a custom template. Sorry, it's still loading. I want to build my own template. I'm putting in my template form. This is my template for the storage account. Can you see it? This is the template for the current storage account. Save source group. That's applied the source group. Okay, it's not a valid storage account name. This template, this storage account name is not valid. So everything should be small letter. Three, three, four, five, six. Okay. Save. Somebody else to quickly drop another link. Immediately I'm done with this test. This name ought to be valid now. Okay. So it's a valid template name. Next. Review it, and next thing we are doing is to create storage account. So while it is creating it, somebody else to drop on that link. Okay, drop that same link on WhatsApp, please, so I can just connect to it. Can we see it? Our resources, storage account, has been created in Azure using that template that we created here. This is our sample template for DevOps for storage account. What we just did was we search for storage deploy custom templates. In Azure Portal, we search for custom templates. After custom template, we put in the correct template the ARM templates that we have into it, follow the next prompts, and presently it has created our storage account. As you can see our storage, yes, our storage account ready to go. And when under deployment here, that's one thing I want to show you. This is our resource group. Please note, under deployment in our resource group, you will see the storage account deployed using this template. Can you see it? So you can click on it and say view template. So which templates you need to use to create the storage account? You can see this is the template we submitted for creating the storage account. Can you see it? So this is just a sample of ARM template, how it's being used to create resources in Azure. So anybody any question on ARM templates? Next week, I will just walk us through the automated process of doing this same thing I just did manually. Do you understand? So next week, we will use GitHub Action by God's grace. I'll try to set up route to our class so it can be fast. And I'll just walk you through on how I did it. So we'll use GitHub Action, connect our GitHub Action to our Azure portal, push our code. We'll create our codes, use our pipeline codes. Once we make a push to GitHub, it automatically starts running the pipeline and deploy our resources to Azure. So that's what I just want to show you guys. So anybody any question as regards to manually deploying ARM templates to Azure, deploying resources to Azure using ARM templates? Any question? Any question? Any question? Anybody? Anybody? So that's good. So next week I will be giving us assignments. One of it, someone to note it down and drop it on the group. So create a ARM template to deploy. I've done for resource group. I have done for resource group. I have done for storage accounts. I have done for virtual machine. So next week, the assignment everyone should submit. I will need to see it in everybody's repo. I'm going to push my own repo. I'll send you a link to it. So I'm expecting that by next week, you guys will have in your own repo these new codes. You want to deploy SQL Server. That's what that database. You want to deploy ARM template to deploy database. ARM template to deploy app service. One ARM template to deploy database. ARM template to deploy app service. And lastly, ARM template to deploy what other resource do we work on recently? That will be easy. Okay, ARM template to deploy virtual network, one virtual network, app service, and this thing database. I'll be expecting it from everybody. The ARM template to deploy firstly, number one, your virtual network, your virtual your database and database server, and also app service. Thank you very much for today.